For Sani, the point of life is like happiness. To be with people that make you feel fulfilled and to have a good time. For me, it's all about performance.
The thing is, anybody can be happy and cozy. Nothing good happens in the world by being happy and cozy. You know, like nobody achieves anything great because they're happy and cozy.
It's about being a warrior. It doesn't matter about the cause necessarily. This is your path and you will pursue it with excellence. You face your fear because your goal demands it. That is the warrior spirit. I think that the free-souling mentality is pretty close to warrior culture, where you give something 100% focus because your life depends on it.
I think fear, there are two things that I think goes in there. The first thing is, in terms of definitions of what fear is both an adaptive survival response to a threat or to a predictor of danger or threat. That's the most basic and fundamental property that I would describe in terms of like what fear is. And that's something we need in order to survive and to basically avoid harm. And all animals do that. The other part of it is the subjective experiences, the conscious feelings we have when we say, I'm afraid. Usually we think that these two things go together, that we react fearfully, or that the fear response is something that always comes together with the feeling of also being afraid. But not particularly so. And these are two quite... They're not, I'm not saying they're not related, I'm just saying that one thing doesn't necessarily cause the other. And the sense of mastery and control and knowing what you're doing, or knowledge in general, can modify these feelings, of course, which in turn can modify these more fundamental properties of the fear response that's elicited in different ways. That the adaptive survival response, those properties of fear, they are prevalent and present in all animals. They wouldn't survive if they couldn't predict the dangers that they meet. I would still argue that not all animals are subjectively and consciously aware of those feelings that we humans also have, and that can be triggered by not just external threats, but internally generated thoughts that could scare me, but not necessarily evoke a response. We're not born with fears in that sense. We're born, we have an innate system to detect and respond to potential threats, and mostly predictors of threats, but not that hardwired as most other animals are in terms of knowing what to fear or what situations are potentially dangerous.
When I think of what you do, I think of quiet tension.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. Yeah, because it should be sort of meditative and relaxing. You're also sometimes straining your entire body, you know, like trying very hard physically, and yeah.
Well, I remember one of the things you said to me the last time we talked was that it's very mellow, because if it ever gets intense, something's gone horribly wrong. Yeah.
No, that's I still feel exactly the same way. I mean, that's always the challenge, is to keep it relaxed.
I mean, I think that the actual, the feeling of it, basically the movement, the flow, whatever you want to call it. But then I think beyond that, there's also honestly, the curiosity about the unknown, the pushing your own limits, the discovering what you're capable of, or maybe one of the most satisfying things in climbing for me is the feeling of improvement, you know, taking something that seemed impossible before and then working hard toward it and eventually being able to do it. I think that slow, gradual improvement is one of the most satisfying aspects of climbing to me.